and the police were called.
An autopsy was performed on the baby, and it was determined that he had his lungs filled with air upon death. So he was indeed alive when he was born. The police then arrested Dorothy, and she was charged with murder. During her trial, she never gave a reason for tossing her baby from the window, other than she thought it was a stillborn. 3 separate criminal psychiatrists testified that Dorothy was mentally confused, and she was found not guilty by reason of insanity. She don't look confused. Shit, look at that picture of her.
She looks fucking relieved.
We do have a picture of her from a newspaper clipping, and it just looks, I mean, she just is like laying back with her hand on her head, just kind of like chilling, like she's watching TV or something on the couch.
Yeah.
She was in a hospital prison ward, but not guilty. Imagine that. She freaking pulled a, what's that one chick who murdered her 4-year-old daughter?
Casey Anthony?
Yeah, she pulled a Casey Anthony. Got away with it.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's continue on with the deaths.
Oh, man. On October 31st of 1947, 35-year-old Robert Smith booked a room at the Cecil Hotel, which he was assigned a 7th floor room. That afternoon, someone called the police and said that there was a body on the ground that was all bloody. The police came and identified it as Robert Smith's and that he jumped from his 7th floor room at the Cecil Hotel. His death was ruled a suicide.
Do you think at this point the police were just like, look, we're finding all these dead bodies on the ground. Of course they jumped. We're just going to rule it a suicide. Ain't nobody got time for this.
I would have condemned the whole fucking building.
Yeah, at this point you got to tell the hotel staff, look, I don't know what the hell's going on here, but start installing bars on your windows or do something. All right, so our next death occurred on October 22nd, 1954. A 55-year-old woman named Helen Gurney booked a room at the Cecil Hotel under the name of Margaret Brown. She was assigned a room on the 7th floor. On that afternoon of October 22nd, she jumped from the window of her 7th floor room and her body landed on top of the hotel marquee above the heads of pedestrians that were walking on a busy main street below. The police were called and hundreds of spectators gathered as firemen and ambulance attendants put up a ladder to the marquee and lowered her body down. The police ruled Helen's death as a suicide.
Now, just a little knowledge nugget here. Right after that happened, the police were called next door to help aid a man who seemed to be hysterical. The man was 28-year-old ministry student Melvin Hinckley. Melvin had told the police that he had been unnerved by witnessing the woman's death. He was taken to the general hospital for observation.
Well, yeah, I would be unnerved as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you just watched a woman jump from the window and land on the marquee. I'm sure people got sprayed with blood as, she splatted on the top of that.
Well, question though. So they took Melvin to the general hospital for observation. Why? I mean, I guess, I know he's probably unnerved and all that, but
I don't know. He must have been really acting crazy. Maybe he saw something.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's just kind of weird that.
Yeah, that's why I put that, because it was weird. Maybe he saw something and the police were like, look, we got to take you. No, you didn't see that. You're acting hysterical.
Now he's up
We're going to take you to the hospital.
Shit, fucking in a straitjacket in a hospital.
You didn't see the police push this woman out. You didn't see, whatever.
You didn't see us with her last night.
Yeah. Oh, all right. So what's this next death?
All right, so the next one occurred in February of 1962. 50-year-old Julia Frances Moore booked a room at the Cecil Hotel and was assigned on the 8th floor. Sunday afternoon, the police were called to a body that had been found on the 2nd floor roof of the adjacent building. The police identified the body as Julia Moore and said that she had committed suicide by leaping to her death from her 8th floor window.
Man, imagine being the police chief during this time. Jesus.
Imagine being the fucking manager of that hotel.
Our next death, in my opinion, is one of the weirdest. Well, not weirdest. It's one of the craziest. So our next death occurs 8 months later in October of 1962. 27-year-old Pauline Otten and her husband, 32-year-old Dewey Otten, had booked a room at the Cecil Hotel and were assigned to the 9th floor. Shortly after, Pauline plummeted to her death from her 9th floor window. Now, at the same time that she jumped out of her window, a 65-year-old man named George Gianni was walking on the street below, just minding his own business. And boom, lights out. Pauline's body landed right on top of him, killing both of them. So, of course, the police were called and they started to investigate. Side note, do you think he instantly died? Or do you think it's one of those things where it's like,
I mean, maybe snapped his neck. He's just like, bloop.
Yeah.
man, this gotta suck.
Snapped his neck, crushed his skull on landing too. I don't know.
Damn.
I hope it was instant because
Yeah, that's horrible.
At first, police thought that Pauline and George might have leaped